Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It's the 27th of September, 2024. I'm going to build upon the video that I produced last week discussing my Wyckoff scans and charts in HGS Investor. And today I'm going to talk some about scanning for demand and supply scans with the Wyckoff parameters, and also try to incorporate some mean reversion trades in this video. These scans and charts are unique to HGSI. I built all these myself, and I don't think you could do this in any other program. Before you install the add-on, if you're an Insider Club member, and you have to be an Insider Club member to get these charts and views, by the way, I want you to delete my charts and scans like you did last week, because I've made some changes. There were some scans in there that were duplicates, and to get all the numbering system correct, I just want you to delete my charts and scans. Just do that before you install the add-on for the update. As always, the market is your teacher, and I believe these Wyckoff indicators along with VPA really help us see what's going on with individual stocks, ETFs, in the market. As usual, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. You can get the software for 30 days for nothing if you're not a user, and just go to highgrowthstock.com. You'll see the link to download it. You don't have to enter a credit card. And then if you want to start using these techniques, you'll have access to my files, or at least some of them. You may not have everything if you're a trial member. But anyway, it's a great program, and as you can see, or will see, you can do a lot with this software that you can't do with other softwares. Like I said, I'm not going to delete them, but just open up everything that has my name on it in the warehouse. Click on those views and then click delete. Do the same thing for the charts with my name on it, and then you'll have everything up to date like I'm showing you today in this video. Okay, one thing I want to point out on the charts, the Wyckoff charts, and I have these listed under Wyckoff, VFB, or visual filter back to test charts, and whenever a condition is met, then a colored bar will be generated. By the way, I want to go to the Insider Club. I haven't changed the date on this yet. I'll do that right now so I don't forget. But I want you to download the demand supply guidelines again when you get the link, because I've altered the instructions, or the labeling, showing you what these bars mean. Now, let me click on this and bring this up. And so there were 6 scans in the supply side, but it was pretty much a duplicate of one of the other scans, so I eliminated it. And this is the updated sheet here explaining the colors and what these bars actually mean. For example, 01 is increased price spread and volume, which is demand, and that's a dark green bar. And I'm going to go to that right now, and you can see where I am. I'll resize this. And I'm in the Wyckoff VFB charts, and I'm in demand number 1. This is the end of day, and I have a weekly chart here with support and resistance lines on it. And then over here I have my number 1 demand chart. Now, what I did on these charts is I went in and all of them I added the pocket pivot indicators down here, which shows that when there's heavy volume coming in either on the positive or the negative side, you're going to get a blue bar when it's positive, and you can see here that the volume is well above average, and here also. But this was generating strong volume compared to the prior volume, and it shows up here with blue bars. This is just an inexpensive little stock, but look how it's moved up. It's up over $1 from back here when it started moving up, or it's right at $1. But I went in on all the charts, and as you can see, I added the pocket pivots down at the bottom. It just gives us more information. Like here's a signal, effort to rise, and on the Wyckoff, it's a light green bar, which is wider spread on lower volume, which means lack of supply. So it's moving up, lack of supply is moving up, and then you get confirmation with the yellow bars, which is narrower price spread, lower volume, more lack of supply before it really starts moving. And then here the green bars come in, showing the very heavy demand, which corresponds with these columns up here. So volume, spread, close. Okay, so that's weekly, I'm sorry. Now I need to go back here, get rid of this. It would correspond to this. This is yesterday's close right here on this green bar. Very high, wide, very high. Very high, wide, very high. So this information here corresponds to these columns right here, which are in all of my views. So immediately when you look at this, you can tell that these are stocks that are really in demand. Okay, now I'm going to go down here, and here's a little more expensive stock. And you can see this is yesterday when the signal was given. There was a green bar here with an effort to rise, slight pullback, and then 2 consecutive green bars here. But when this was taking off down here, you can see the volume pocket pivots. Let me bring an arrow up here. You can see the volume pocket pivots coming in here. Actually started back here, and that was on this day right here. But you can see that the Wyckoff signals, as I've got them set up in HDSI, were signaling back here that these stocks were under accumulation. There weren't any VPA flags here, but by scanning with the Wyckoff scans, the various ones, you can find stocks that are meeting these conditions on that day. So now we have not only Wyckoff scans, but we also have pocket pivots plus VPA. So that there are multiple ways to see when a stock is beginning to move or continuing its move. Now the problem now is that so many of the stocks are extended, it's really hard to jump on these stocks, but this will work both on the long side and the short side. I'm showing you the long side right now, but I have scans for both. Okay, now let me show you something here. This is I'm in a folder called Options Most Active. These are bar chart stocks. I went in and got the scan, and these are the stocks which are showing the most activity today, and I'm using that as my base because I'm interested in looking for stocks that I can put in or use for either debit or credit spreads. So that's why I'm concentrating on this list. Now, this is sorted on raw combo from the end of day. Now, if you go up and see this right here, it says turn off view combo. If you turn that off and then drop down to 1A, which is the intraday version, if I do that, these stocks will remain in their current order because the combo ranking has been turned off. And by doing that, I can see the stocks at last night's close, what they're doing today, and most of these stocks are up today that are in view right here. Now, they're not all that way, but you can see that a lot of them are. So the stocks that are following through, you can see these top two up 16.83% and 1502. This one here is up 2.27%. Here's Trip.com up 8.22%, and these are all at the top of the list last night. So this is a way to see which stocks are continuing the move from the prior day. Let's bring this one up here and look at this. Amazing. Here it was under accumulation with these yellow bars, and you can see the VPA flag showing up also. Right here, strength seen returning after a downtrend, and then it started going. No signals in here because you can see these small candles. One of my requirements is that they close at least at 50% of their daily range, and these three did not, but it was moving up after this VPA flag, and then here's the big move up, and that it would be tough to take this trade after that gap up. But look, here's another gap and another gap. So this right here was in the $53 range, and right now it's in the $61.37 range. So heavy demand. This green bar, these three green bars side by side, passed this filter for 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. This was, I didn't see this one right here, but you can see there it pulled back, but this was green, heavy demand because of heavy volume, and it closed more than 50% of its daily range, so that continued to be a buy. Now, when I apply this combo, it's going to sort on my intraday combo, and you can see that all of the red stocks disappeared, and there is a different arrangement over here on these stocks. I think I saw that one initially. Now I want to point out in the charts, I've labeled these charts dark green up here, 01 scan, higher volume, wider spread. Tells you what it is. Number 2 is light green, wider spread on lower volume. Yellow is number 3, narrower price spread, lower volume. These are all demand scans. Number 4 is cyan, narrow price spread, high volume. And then finally, light brown, you see over here, narrower spread, higher volume. These are all demand scans, as you know, because they are classified as that under the Wyckoff demand. And then on the other side, these are supply scans. And those charts are down here. I'll just go on down to this one right here. And let's see if this works. This is yesterday, so this was a negative scan, and it was generated a signal. But you can see that this was a gap up from a prior day, and it pulled back, and looks like it's moving up again. I'm primarily focusing on the demand scans right now because the market has really been strong. But we have both in here, and I want to point out that this is probably not a finished product yet. I continue to make changes and try to improve the charts and the scans. I think I've got scans pretty much where I want them, but I'm always tweaking and trying to get the most out of these scans. Now, let's go back. Quick pick. Let's go to number 2. Wider spread on lower volume, lack of supply. This is the way it closed last night. Now if I take this combo off and click on the intraday, you can see which ones are following through today based upon that signal. Here's one that's up 18.42%. And let's go to the demand scan. Here is the signal. This was yesterday, and today, as of right now, with a little over an hour left in the market, is generating a dark green, but you can see that there's been profit taking on this candle also. So just by looking at the intraday range, this is at 6.796%. It tells me there's profit taking. So what I like to do if I'm looking for a trade, I like to find a stock that is holding up well in the daily range, like this one. Now this hasn't gone anywhere, Fortinet, but look at all these positive VPA flags and Wyckoff flags, and look at the group moving up. This is the group line. So this one looks like it's setting up. So I'm going to quick add to group, and I'm going to put this under Wyckoff bullish. And then I can check on this on Monday, see if it's doing anything. Let's look at the weekly chart. Big move up here on the weekly, and now it's digesting all that. And you can see that digestion going on right through here. It's got to get past resistance here. But it looks like it wants to go up, but it's just not there yet. So this is the light green bar. Now let's look at number 3, lower. This should be the yellow bar. And you can see that here is a signal yesterday. No bar on it today. Look at that low volume though. But this one, look at the Wyckoff accumulation here and here, plus the low volume test and a confirmation of that test, and here is stopping volume also, and ever since that point it's up $5-6 from the low. And look how the group turned around, this dotted line. That's why I've included all this information in these charts, so you can take a quick look at the technicals, and then of course you can look at the fundamentals up here also, the earnings growth. I want to point out, as this was going down, look at the volume associated with it. And then as it turned around, we did have one pocket pivot volume here, but it was under accumulation here, as I pointed out, with these VPA flags. And then here's the first big move up with that effort to rise. Now I'm going to take a look at this chart, or this under the supply chart, and you can see that as it started falling here, there were signals, no signals in here, but there was a dark rose signal here, which means that there was plenty of selling going on. Now if you click on any of these bars, it will tell you what happened on that day with the Wyckoff indicators. Volume was very high. We can see that. The spread was wide and the close was down. And the sentiment was bearish and the industry group was going down at the same time. The purpose of providing you and me, whoever uses this software, with this information, it's just easier to visualize and see what's happening when we have both the Wyckoff scans and the visual filter back test, and in addition to the VPA. And we can scan for VPA, we can do anything, and then use these charts to see how they correspond with other signals. And I'll try to get into that in a minute here. Let's go back to a basic demand chart here. I'm just going to go down to the next one. This one generates the brown bar, narrow spread, higher volume, presence of demand. But it's in a real congestion area. Look at the weekly chart. It hasn't done anything. It's not trending at all. So I'd be very leery of that. Leery of that stock is what I mean. But you can quickly flip through and see which charts look promising at all. But clearly a downtrend over here. This is Walgreens Boots Alliance, that's why. But some traders evidently think it's a bargain down here at these levels. So we're seeing some interest based upon the Wyckoff indicators. Volume was above average, the spread's narrow, and the close is very high. This one, volume's less than average because the day isn't over. Spread's above average. Whoops, sorry about that. Spread's above average, and the close is very high. So that means there's some accumulation coming into it. But with this strong downtrend, very difficult to go long on a stock like this. And then number 5 is demand, high volume, below average spread. You can see that the columns right here reflect what the title is, and this is the way the filter is set up. Now here's a stock that's been out of favor. You can see that on the weekly chart, but it's also been seeing strong signs of accumulation. I'm going to click on here. Well, I can look up here. Earnings are not due until November 4th, but it looks like maybe this stock wants to go. Now let's put a different chart on here. Let's just go down and look at the Keltner channel and so on. You can see that this is inside the Bollinger Bands now, but the squeeze is coming on. You can see how these are squeezing together. It's probably worth following. I think the fundamentals are not good on this at all. You can see the earnings have been bad, but that doesn't always mean that a stock is not going to make a move. I'm going to keep my eye on it. Put it in my Wyckoff bullish. Okay, since I've got this chart up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the Wyckoff scans right now, and I'm in my essential warehouse views, and I'm going to go down to mean reversion trading. And I have different scans in here. This one brings everything in, and then you can just sort on %B. I can tell immediately the micron is well above its band. Earnings came out yesterday or the day before, and the stock has just soared, and now it's pulling back a little bit. But you can see before the earnings came out that this stock was under accumulation, and it was very tight within the bands as traders waited for the earnings report. Now, it's pulling back now, but this is a stock that could gain some more momentum to the upside because the earnings projections are very strong. Now, as a mean reversion trade, since it's well out of the bands, it certainly could continue to pull back. But I'm not so sure. This is one I'd kind of like to keep my eye on. I'm going to quick add to group. I'm going to choose potential mean reversion trades. I have a folder set up for that also. Now PDT Holdings. I talked about this in a video several weeks ago. I think I talked about it in a video. I put the trade on and notified on the Skype board I was putting it on. I did make the profit on it. I didn't participate all the way up here. This is one of those Chinese related stocks that's just been going crazy. I'm out of the trade. I think I made 30% on it. If I'd have stayed in, I'd have made a lot more, but I didn't. Anyway, this could be another mean reversion trade to the downside. It's really gone too far too fast. Take a look over here at this candle. So I'm going to add this to the potential mean reversion trades. Now let's go to the other end of the spectrum here. And there's not going to be much here because this market's been so strong. Well, there are several. This one's outside the bands, Merck. And there are several outside the bands or very close to the bands. Let's take a look at Merck here. You can see Merck. The Bollinger Bands are inside the Keltner channel, which means there's just not a lot of movement on this stock right now. It tried to go up today, but you can see the 3 is below the 6 based upon this histogram, and it's getting a price rejection here. It just it had several bullish candles here, and then it started reversing. Let's just take a look at this with the supply chart, and you can see that there are negative VPS, visual filter backtest signals on this stock. It just does not look like it's ready to go higher. And ideally on a reversal, you'd like to see the Bollinger Bands, the dotted lines outside of the Keltner channels, which is this greenish bar right here. And you can see how this worked out here. The Bollinger Bands were outside of the Keltner channel, and it worked its way higher, and that would have been a good trade for a month. And then it dropped down, tried to rally here, and these are false signals. It just didn't follow through. And now it looks like there is an attempted accumulation on it. It might be worth watching. I don't really like it all that much right now, but I'm going to put it in the potential mean reversion trades. Now let's continue to look. Now here is Rivian. This stock is an electric vehicle manufacturer. It just really hasn't done much for quite some time. You can see here was a nice move up with all these. There was real demand on it here, and then it rolled over. There's been buying all along here, but it could never really stop the downtrend, and it's fallen further out of favor. And now it was outside the band yesterday, and it got a bullish VPA flag, but the 3 is below the 6. I just don't really like this stock. I think they're having trouble gaining market share. It's just not a stock that I'm that interested in. Here's J&J. Looking at these columns right here, and I haven't been pointing this out, but it's been down 6. The signal on the 3-6 was down, turned negative 6 days ago, and the same thing on the VPOC. And where is it on the bands? It's very close to the lower band, so let's bring this up. Okay, now this one's more interesting as a mean reversion trade, and the big difference is you can see it immediately. The trend is much more positive to the upside. Got up to the upper band and then fell down. We got a signal yesterday, strength seen returning after a downtrend, less than average volume, narrow. The close was very high. That's why this yellow bar was generated. It's trying to follow through today. This one's going to go into my potential mean reversion trades. Now, something else I like to do is I use just the plain charts, black and white, and also now I'm using these Wyckoff charts, and just to look at any stock. Now here, well, let's bring up NVIDIA. And this shows you all of the positive Wyckoff scans or filters that were being applied during this run up. Here's the accumulation phase, and then Look at all these dark green bars, which means that there is very heavy volume and movement in there. And then it falls off. We're getting some bullish signals here. It really didn't follow through at all. Then a shakeout, and then a strong green bar here. Then a test a couple of days later. Confirmed test confirmed, took off. All these positive VPA flags here. Yes, I realize this is in the past, but you can look at this and you can see where these signals were being generated, and then you can see where the crossovers were down here with the histogram. Now it's pulling back a little bit. The histogram's still positive. We've had a couple of days where it's selling off, but if you look down here, you can see volume's very light. So right now, it's just a slight pullback. Okay, let's take a look at something else. Costco, I believe, reported. And you can see all the positive demand signals here. And then it's selling off the past couple of days. Looks like buyers are coming in today. But here's your x-ray of the buy signals. Let's see what it looks like on the sell side. And as it was pulling back here, it got outside the band. And then this, if this were taken as a mean reversion trade, you'd still be in the trade, and it would be positive right now. The reason I haven't combined all these bars in one chart, I just think it would be too confusing. I'd rather look individually at demand signals and then supply signals. But my point is, you can look at any stock you like here and see where the signals were going off, both with the VPA. Let's go back to this basic chart here. You see the down here the pocket pivot signals. Then we have the Wyckoff signals, we have the VPA signals, and we have the group. So all that information is right here in this chart. Now look how the group was falling here as Costco pulled back. As the group turned around, Costco was going up. The group has fallen, slight pullback, and then the group was going up. It went up, earnings came out, and the group is kind of headed down. So there's a lot of information here. It just helps give a feel for what's going on with a stock. Now this movie is over 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop right here. I'll continue this series next week. We'll do some more prospecting, and I'll give you some more ideas on how you can make these indicators work for you. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend.